Can you imagine this Coco Gauff? World number 4, two-time Grand Slam champion, poised to conquer Indian Wells and suddenly wincing in pain, clutching her left elbow, the crowd gasping as she signals she cannot continue. It is not just a moment in a match, it is a moment that shakes expectations and rewrites what we thought would happen today. Gauff trailing 6-2-2-0 against the young Filipina star Alexandra Eala, who at just 20 has already begun making waves across the tennis world. And you can feel the tension because everyone knows Coco rarely retires. In fact, she has only done so once in her entire career before, making this retirement something almost unprecedented from the very first game. It looked like Gauff was feeling the strain, the usual explosive movement slightly hampered by the discomfort in her elbow, and while Eala was playing solid tennis, hitting deep shots and keeping her composure, you could sense there was an undercurrent of concern among commentators and fans alike. The whispers traveling across social media about Gauff's elbow, about how this could affect her schedule and, more importantly, how it could affect her chances to finally claim that elusive Indian Wells title. Now let's rewind a bit, because to fully appreciate the drama here, we need to look at their previous encounter just 3 weeks ago in Dubai, where Gauff crushed Eala 6-0, 6-2 in the quarterfinals, a match that had many expecting a similar outcome today. Gauff dominant, confident, almost untouchable. Yet today the narrative was flipped on its head, Eala staying calm, absorbing Gauff's early shots, exploiting every slight hesitation, and slowly creeping into the lead. All while Gauff's elbow pain became increasingly evident. You have to wonder, in moments like this, how much is physical and how much is mental, because Gauff is a player who thrives on rhythm and confidence, and when injury interrupts that rhythm, it's not just the body that suffers, the mind starts to race, questions creep in. Can I push through? Will this worsen? Is it worth risking the rest of the season for a single match? And when she finally took that medical timeout before the final game, you could see the deliberation, the apology to Eala, the humility in saying, "I'm sorry, you were playing great," a gesture that reflects both her sportsmanship and the gravity of the moment. Meanwhile, Alex Eala, rising to celebrity status in the Philippines, has had an incredible journey herself. Her tenacity on court a reflection of years of hard work, victories over some of the sport's biggest names, and today, facing Coco, she was not just a participant, she was an equal. And when the retirement was called, Eala's emotions were palpable: relief, disbelief, and perhaps the realization that she has just crossed another milestone, advancing to the round of 16 where she will face Czech Linda Noskova, a challenge that promises yet more drama and opportunity. It is fascinating to consider what this does for the tournament, because Gauff, seated fourth in the draw, was expected to be a strong contender, a favorite for the title, and now her early exit due to injury opens the draw in unexpected ways, potentially clearing a path for other players, and at the same time, raises questions about her upcoming schedule. Will she be able to recover in time for Miami, for the spring clay season, and how cautious will her team be moving forward? And speaking of her team, one cannot ignore the support structure around Gauff, the coaches, trainers, medical staff, all of whom play a crucial role in decisions like retirement, because it is not just a personal choice, it is strategic, protecting a young athlete's career and longevity. And while fans may feel disappointed, true understanding comes from knowing that preserving her elbow now is likely more important than finishing this particular match. The social media reaction has been immediate and intense. Tweets flooding in from fans, expressing concern, empathy, and sometimes shock, sports analysts dissecting the implications, some pointing out that Gauff's movement on court had been slightly restricted, others noting that Eala's composure and shot selection forced the early advantage. And yet the story that everyone is talking about is the human element, the vulnerability of an elite athlete forced to bow out not due to loss of skill, but due to the physical limitations that even champions face. Also worth discussing the broader narrative of Gauff's career, because injuries at this stage could be more than a one-off, and given her ambitious schedule, every decision about playing or withdrawing carries weight. Yet even in the face of adversity, her response remains exemplary. The sportsmanship in apologizing to Eala, the grace under pressure, the humility in acknowledging that sometimes winning isn't everything. These are lessons for fans and aspiring players alike. And for Eala, this moment cannot be understated. Advancing to the round of 16 at Indian Wells is a significant achievement, and it adds another chapter to her growing legend. She has shown resilience, skill, and mental toughness, taking full advantage of an opportunity that arose unexpectedly. And while some may say luck played a role, it is undeniable that Eala was ready to seize the moment, prepared to challenge one of the world's top players, and that readiness is what defines a rising star. Let's not forget the dynamic between these two players carries a story beyond a single match. It's a narrative of experience versus youth, of established superstar versus ascending talent. And while Gauff's early dominance in Dubai suggested a straightforward path, today proves that tennis is unpredictable, that on any given day the momentum can shift, that physical challenges can redefine expectations, and that mental resilience is as critical as physical capability. Now imagine the ripple effects this has on the Indian Wells tournament as a whole, because the elimination of a top seed due to injury reshapes potential quarterfinals and semifinals, allowing other players to dream bigger, perhaps altering the confidence of competitors who had expected to face Gauff later, and giving emerging stars like Eala a platform to showcase their game to a global audience, generating buzz that transcends the single match. And yet, one cannot ignore the fan experience, the heartbreak in the stands, the collective sigh as Gauff signals retirement, fans who came expecting to witness brilliance on the court, now witnessing a pause, a disruption, a story that is incomplete, yet in its incompleteness carries its own drama, its own emotional weight, and the shared empathy for an athlete facing pain is almost universal, connecting everyone watching in a human way. In terms of predictions, looking forward to Eala versus Noskova, this is a clash that promises to be highly competitive. Eala riding the momentum, Noskova bringing her own set of skills and strategies, and one can expect a battle where mental fortitude, endurance, and strategic shot-making will decide who advances, while Eala's confidence from today's unexpected victory could be a decisive factor in carrying her further into the tournament. Meanwhile, for Gauff, the immediate focus will undoubtedly be recovery and evaluation, consulting with her medical team, assessing the severity of the elbow issue, planning a schedule that prioritizes health, and possibly adjusting training to reduce strain, because at 21, her career is long, and taking smart decisions now is crucial to sustain peak performance over years to come. Rumors are already circulating, as they always do in tennis circles, about the nature of the injury, how long she might be sidelined, whether she will participate in upcoming events, and while speculation can run rampant, it is important to differentiate confirmed information from rumor, because only the player and her team can accurately assess recovery, and rushing to judgment serves no one at the same time. There is an undeniable narrative here about resilience and opportunity. Gauff's setback becomes Eala's breakthrough, a story that highlights the dual nature of sport, how triumph and adversity are intertwined, and how every match, every moment, can pivot dramatically depending on circumstances, readiness, and physical condition, reinforcing why tennis continues to captivate audiences worldwide. And looking at the broader implications for women's tennis, the rise of players like Eala indicates a generational shift, a deepening of talent, the emergence of new stars who are capable of challenging the established elite. And while Gauff remains a dominant force, her momentary struggle reminds us that even top players face vulnerabilities, creating space for narratives that enrich the sport, fuel debates, and inspire fans everywhere. Now the question that lingers, and I want you to think about this, is how will this affect Gauff mentally? Because recovery from injury is not just physical, it is psychological. Will she approach her next tournament with caution, with determination, with renewed focus, or will doubts creep in? And for Eala, how will this victory, albeit from a retirement, shape her confidence, her approach to the big stage? Will it propel her into new levels of performance? This is where the story becomes truly fascinating, and if we zoom out, what we are witnessing is a moment that reflects the reality of professional sports, the fragility of peak performance, the unpredictability that keeps fans on edge, and the emotional connections that bind audiences to players, because every retirement, every upset, every injury carries a story beyond the score, a story of human struggle, aspiration, and resilience. Let's also explore Gauff's statement. When she said, "I'm sorry, you were playing great," that simple sentence carries immense weight, a mixture of apology, recognition, and humility. And acknowledge